Welcome to a new series called Can ChatGPT Teach Python? The goal of this series is to see how far ChatGPT can go in teaching us a new programming language in Python if you're not already familiar with the language itself. It's a great opportunity to experience this tool, see what it can do, as well as develop new skills along the way. I think it's a great opportunity to use what will be the future tool for learning in ChatGPT. And I'm here to help you along the way and foster those areas where it might be lacking a little. I can fill those in to help you out there. If you are new to the channel, this is Thorn's Applications, where we use cool technologies to achieve something even cooler putting together. If you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe to the video. And if you have any cool ideas of what you'd like to cover, go ahead and put them in the fields below. Let us know what you're interested in. Well, as they say, there's nothing to it but to do it, so let's go ahead and get started. We kick things off by asking our friendly bot, how would you go about teaching this series that we're covering today? The answer is pretty good, and I agree with this. These are all great topics to break up, so let's take a deep look at what they really are. Forgive me for a minute while I look off camera, I'm going to go ahead and read these through with you. Follow along the lines as you see them underlined on the screen here. So the first item is going to be an introduction to Python. And we're actually going to cover that one today because it's very short and simple. You get to know the language a little bit. The second is going to be an installation setup process, so what you need to do to get running with Python as far as on your computer itself. Next, we're going to cover variables and data types. This will be where you get to really bite into something new if you're not familiar with programming already. If you already are with programming, you'll pick it up like a snap, real quick and easy. The next one is the control flow and conditionals. This is your logical decision making as you start programming, ifs, thens, loops, etc. if you're familiar with those. Next are functions. We'll cover those when we get to them. Object-oriented programming is always fun. It'll help you reduce the amount of code that you have to cover when you get to that topic. File handling, so if you want to open, read, close files, all that fun stuff that you need to do in order to persist data. Exception handling, so we all write code that's going to have issues once in a while. This is going to help you handle those issues upcoming so your computer and your program doesn't crash altogether. We're going to cover modules and packages, so how you install things on top of each other and work with each other instead of everyone having to have 10,000 lines of code for every script. You can build off of what's already been written out there. It's great. And the last one is advanced topics. So everything that's beyond what you read here, that one will be a little bit more general because there's so much more that you could do out there. And the whole idea is to just get you up and running. So we'll talk more when we get to that point. But these are the topics that we're going to be covering for this. I agree for pretty much all of these topics that ChatGPT has suggested. And this, what you see right here, is what we're going to be covering, is the same topics here. I've gone ahead and made a note of what the titles were going to be, or at least what the subject matters would cover. And they're all the same except for the last one. I just go ahead and notate it as going further. Because it's more than just covering advanced topics. You can't go all the ways because there's always going to be so much to learn with Python. It's a fantastic language. So it's a good way to get you up and running. We're going to cover a 3-part formula for every topic that we cover during this series. It's going to be based on a 3 trifecta, we'll call it. The first is we're using ChatGPT, so let's kick off every lesson by asking how ChatGPT would teach it or cover it. We'll cover in those missing pieces that it doesn't cover. The second part is going to be, we're going to build together an application that will help you track wins and losses for a game that you might be playing along the way. The whole idea with this one is not necessarily the app going to be, we're not going to go to the store with the app. The whole idea is just to build something that you could contribute along the way and help foster your growth and build a well-rounded understanding of what you can do with Python. And the third itself is just the meat and potatoes of the course material. So each week we will be covering these. We will be covering each of these items in detail, and that's what I mean by the meat. So the actual course material will be the third part of that. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the first one, which is today's introduction to Python. Woo! Sound the alarm, celebrate. We're going to kick it off right off the bat for us. So, as we mentioned, we're going to kick off our first lesson by asking ChatGPT what they would include in this lesson. So you're gonna forgive me a minute. We're gonna do a lot of reading. I'll try to make sure it's interactive, a little bit funner than just reading off drool off of a sentence. So hopefully you like the dramatic reading. Alright, so welcome to the first lesson in our video series on learning Python. In this lesson, we will provide you with an introduction to Python, its features, history, and why it is a popular programming language. Python is a high-level interpreted programming language that was created by Yada Yada in the 1980s. It was first released in 1991 and has since become one of the most popular programming languages in the world. Python is used in a wide variety of applications, from web development and data analysis to artificial intelligence and machine learning. One of the key features of Python is its readability. Python code is written in a way that is easy to read and understand, making it a great language for beginners. Python has a large standard library, which means that there are many built-in modules and functions that can be used to simplify common tasks. Another key feature of Python is its flexibility. Python can be used for a wide range of applications, from scripting and automation to building complex software applications. Python is a popular language for scientific computing and data analysis, thanks to the many powerful libraries available, such as NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. Python is an interpreted language, which means it does not need to be compiled before it can be ran. This makes it easy to write and test code quickly, without the need for a lengthy compilation process. Python is also a cross-platform language, which means it can be run on a wide range of operating systems, including Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Python has a rich history dating back to its origins as a hobby project in the 1980s. Since it was first released in 1991, Python has continued to grow in popularity and is now used by millions of developers around the world. So why is Python so popular? There are many reasons, including ease of use, readability, flexibility, and a wide range of libraries and tools available. Python is also a great language for beginners, thanks to its simple syntax and a large community of developers who are always willing to help newcomers. In conclusion, Python is a high-level interpreted programming language that is easy to read, flexible, and widely used for a variety of applications. Its history, features, and popularity make it a great choice for everyone to learn a new programming language. In the next lesson, we will cover how to install Python and set up an integrated development environment, or an IDE, for Python. So I apologize, that's a lot of reading. The only reason I did take the time to read it, though, is we want to make sure that we're including ChatGPT as we go along. So you'll see me read chunks like this. I'm going to try to make sure that it's interactive as possible for you. At any time, if you feel like I'm going too fast, you can also pause the screen and read through it yourself as well. So what we're getting essentially from that reading there is the history of ChatGPT, as it's always nice to know, as you kind of heard me skim over it. It's not important necessarily to understand the language itself, but it's always nice to know where it came from. Python is great for its readability. It's pretty easy as far as programming languages go to read and understand what it does without having to stretch yourself very thin. It's a flexible programming language in that it can be used in many different scientific fields, math fields, almost any field that you want to use it in. There's probably a way to use Python on. It makes it really flexible and powerful, which is great to use. I mentioned that it's an interpreted language. What that means is it basically is easier for it to get started and running. It's going to be a little bit quicker to get started running. Not necessarily faster in the whole process, but at least get started quicker. It gave you a little bit more of the history of the language itself. I mentioned that it was a popular language, which I agree with. We're going to cover that next of what I agree with as far as that. And then a recap of the first parts of the whole sentence, the whole paragraphs. So that's essentially what we covered there in the reading, and what ChatGPT is important to notice in the introduction to Python. So what I suggest Python, and why I think it's a really cool language, is the fact that Python is the second most demanded programming language right now, only behind JavaScript. So it's really important to know if you want to go into different career fields into any large company. Python's going to get you a long ways to get into that door, as well as it means that there's a lot of other people using it, even on a development level as far as community. If you want different libraries, different help from the community, there's lots of people that know it to help you out. It's simpler to start with. So Python is one of the most simple languages that I've learned along my career, and it's really easy to get started with. It's highly leveraged for machine learning. It's one of the most popular languages used in machine learning. I mentioned in the reading, for example, PyTorch, which is used for many of those, as well as some other languages or other libraries in Python. Like I mentioned, that in a lot of large corporations they use Python, and it's a good job opportunity to get yourself into a great development career. And the last is our friend ChatGPT is actually built on Python. So it's kind of a neat tidbit to help encourage you along the way of why you might want to learn Python in this course and why it's applicable. So that pretty much covers everything as far as the introduction there. We've covered all you need to know to get started. The next lesson we're going to be covering, like we mentioned in the reading, is how to get started with the installation and the running of Python. Get you set up on your system and ready to go. I thank you for taking the time to sit with me through this lesson. We hope that you sit with us for many more and that you enjoy the content as we go along. If you do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This really helps us keep the channel going. If you have any other ideas, let us know in the comments on what we can do. You have a great day.